And lest we get on our high horse and think this is unique to some other place, remember that during the Crusades and the Inquisition, people committed terrible deeds in the name of Christ. In our home country, slavery and Jim Crow all too often was justified in the name.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was part of what Barack Obama had to say at the National Prayer Breakfast. And joining us now is Bill Kristol, editor of the Weekly Standard. He's written a great piece, Obama's Israel Problem, which we'll get to in the flow of things here. Bill, welcome. I mean, was he justifying making excuses for what's going on with the Islamic terror by bringing up what happened 800 years ago?
I mean, as a Jew, let me say I'm happy to have anyone condemn the Inquisition and the Crusades who, at least certain aspects of the Crusades, who wants to. But I don't know that that's very controversial these days, and Christians have spent a lot of time apologizing for that and changing their ways, and that's, of course, the difference. So somehow President Obama thinks that to condemn a flat-out act of brutality done in the name of Islam, you have to qualify or prepare or explain that we're not on our high horse. Well, really, can't we be on a bit of a high horse when we're dealing with ISIS, for God's sake? Do we really need to go back, and should we also explain that Jews have done some terrible things throughout history before we even have say a word about this unbelievably brutal group that we've let take over, unfortunately, 10,000 of miles of the Middle East and killing Muslims, Christians, Yazidis, you name it? I mean, it's really, I don't know, that's just the way he is, I guess. You know, you have to apologize before you could even say anything.
Yeah, and emotionless. I mean,
right.
you saw his response to what happened to the pilot. He said, oh, another example of the organization. Who the hell is he talking about? He's talking about ISIS. And there's no emotion. It's when the rabbis were slaughtered, no emotion. When they beheaded, no emotion. What will it take?
Yeah, it is the Islamic State, as you say. I mean, when he wants to be nice to Iran, he calls it with great deference and sort of propriety. The formality, the Islamic Republic of Iran, because that's their name. Fine. I mean, I don't really care, but I mean, you know, but when it's the Islamic State, somehow when they're committing the horrible brutalities, then they're just this weird thuggish group that unbelievably, weirdly, just kind of like bizarrely and randomly seems to think they're acting in the name of Islam. Really? Isn't that kind of central to their self-understanding? Then we have to understand what they understand about themselves to fight them effectively?
It is insane. I want to talk about your before we get to Brian Williams, I want to talk about your column, great piece, the Weekly Standard, and Obama's Israel Problem. I mean, this has been since day one. I remember reading in the New York Post in a column that said Jesse Jackson was quoted as saying, if Barack Obama wins, this is back in '08, if Barack Obama wins, Israel will no longer be calling the shots, or they'll no longer be our main concern in the Middle East. And boy, oh boy, he must have heard it from somebody, because that's been the case from day one.
It's pretty evident from Obama's past associations and even some past statements before he got into politics in a big way and sort of decided to be more cautious. He's not a big friend of Israel. I think he also really had the dream of presiding over the creation of a Palestinian state. He also has the dream, which has been blown up by events in the Middle East, obviously, by the failure of the Palestinians to ever be able to repudiate terror, by Hamas taking over Gaza and so forth. And he's frustrated by that, so he lashes out at Netanyahu, as if, I mean, Sharon, Omer, Netanyahu, what have they done? They got out of Gaza. Sharon got out of Gaza. Netanyahu was the first Likud prime minister to give a speech saying, in principle, a two-state solution is something we want. Right. They're in favor of separation, and they had a settlement freeze when Secretary of State Clinton asked them to. It's not their fault.
No, it's like you said, Bill. It's his upbringing and the people he's hung around with. I don't want to miss out. We have a minute left.
Yeah.
Should Brian Williams be fired?
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I'd be inclined to think so. I mean, what credibility does he have? He makes up a story about an event he was in. He appropriates, in a way, the courage of soldiers and makes it seem like he was in the middle of it. And then the event gets bigger over the years. He modestly says to Letterman, well, I'm not really a hero, but of course, I mean, my life was kind of a risk. I don't know. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
I mean, what could save him? The fact that they're number one?
Yeah. I guess we'll see if viewership drops off, and maybe people decide, look, Hillary Clinton said she was shot on when she landed in Bosnia. That was a myth, and she seems to be the leading candidate for the Democratic nomination
and
for
Dick
president.
Blumenthal said he served in Vietnam and then had to take that back.
Yeah, that's Senator Bloom. It's all to you.
Yeah. Okay.
He
gotcha.
won, right? So what is it? I don't know. Maybe people are very forgiving. You know?
I guess. All right, Bill, great talking to you, sir,
Good
as
talking
always.
to you.
Thank you. Bill Kristol, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, Anhem Chowdhury, we're at it again, folks, he and I. I'm going to be nice to him this time. Don't go away.